Hi there. Communication is a tricky thing. Have you ever felt like you're standing on a dock and you've got the mooring rope in your hand, you're by the little ring things that you're supposed to tie the boat onto, and yet the boat is somewhere off far in the horizon, and it's carrying this important information and cargo that you need, but you have no idea when it's actually going to come in and arrive at the dock. No one's telling you, you're not asking, and so you stand there, rope in hand, feeling kind of helpless. This metaphorical situation happens in organizations a lot, from what I can see. I call it the communication void. And, it can feel easier just to stand on the dock. Well, nobody's telling me that I shouldn't. And yet, when we tune in to how it's making us feel when the boat's really far, we don't know what's going on, we'll often figure out that, geez, we're feeling pretty frustrated and actually maybe a little bit of resentment. And don't kid yourself, it's probably showing up in terms of your productivity, your motivation. You're probably not really at your best when you're feeling like this, like something's not being shared with you. So I wanted to talk a little bit today about this communication void and how when we realize that we actually have agency and we have power in a relationship, even if it's with somebody who's supposedly higher than us, or at least higher on a hierarchy, it really helps us communicate better and help them communicate better with us. So let me give you an example. When I was 17 years old, I was struggling with a lot of pretty serious health problems, to be honest with you, even at that young age. And I remember, I'd had a new doctor. She was fairly newly graduated when I was about 15, so a couple years earlier. And she's still my doctor, by the way. She's amazing. And she used to, be very, I guess, sort of like on the go, right? So she'd come into the room. I'd have all sorts of things that, I wanted to talk with her about, follow-ups on tests and, questions and so on. And I always felt a bit rushed because she would stand while she was talking to me and with her clipboard because I knew she had to run to the next, patient. Busy lady, busy practice. Great. And I almost always, though, by the end of the session, when she'd take off, I'd feel like, oh, I didn't get what I needed. I didn't get all the information. She was like that metaphorical boat, right? Now she's gone off and I'm like, oh, what do I do? Do I make another appointment? It's a bit frustrating. So I remember I was concerned about this. So the next appointment that I had, I brought my trusty notepad. So for those of you that know me, I take a lot of notes, and I also use them to organize my thoughts. And I actually think that the way of the pen has gotten away from us, and I see this with a lot of my clients. I really encourage you to pick up that pen again because it's a powerful tool. Here's why. So again, Dr. Wong, she's amazing. But I remember her coming into the room now, and I had made a list of my questions, the things that I really didn't want to leave without getting answered. And at the top, I'd written the date and I'd written her name. And she came in, and as usual, she's standing, like smiling and everything, but she's got her clipboard, and she's clearly a very busy lady, and I'm starting to feel the angst, right? I'm feeling rushed. So I don't know where I got the fortitude at 17 years old to do this, but I was not feeling well, and I was really determined. Determination has always been my friend. And I said to her, would you mind sitting down with me? Because I've got quite a few questions I need to get answered, and I don't want to feel rushed. Anyway, I don't know. I could see my adult self saying that at the time, though 17, that was pretty good because I was a bit timid back then. But somehow I found this force of character, and she did. She sat down and took a deep breath, and it was powerful because I now felt like I can go through my list, and I wrote my answers. So on top of that, so not only am I getting what I need, but I realize now in retrospect that I was teaching her what I needed and how to deliver it to me, because she slowed down into this day, many decades later. I won't go into specifics. She will still say to me, Lisa, did we get through all your questions? And she always sits down. She never stands hovering. So I helped influence her behavior and her way of interacting with me as her patient in a way that works for both of us even today. So let's go back to the workplace, right? So I just got off, a session with a coaching client, and she's feeling pretty frustrated because she had put her hand up to take on some more responsibility at work. And initially, this was welcomed. Oh, yes, this is great. We're not quite sure of the timing and so on. And she's been feeling kind of frustrated because she's now not heard anything for a while. And she's kind of sitting over here on the dock going, okay, when's the boat coming in? When are they going to tell me what's happening next? Really, really disheartening. And at first she was thinking, I'm just gonna sit here and relax, and I'm not gonna worry about if the boat's arriving or not. I'll just enjoy the dock. It wasn't working though, because deep down she really wanted this information, and she was having trouble letting go. So, we talked through, here are some steps that you can do. So I wanted to share these with you. When you are feeling frustrated and needing information, whether it's from your leader, peers, or people on your own team, there's steps that we can take before we have a conversation, during the conversation, and then after. So this is what I wanted to outline. Some of these you may already know. Feel free to listen for what might be sort of a new nugget of truth that could be helpful. So I always say, if it's important, prepare for it. Even if you just have a couple minutes before a meeting, jot down, like, what is your intention for the meeting? What are the key messages, the key outcomes that you want to achieve? And what are your questions? Get them down, write it all out. Sure, you can type it. I encourage you to write it if you have the time and the inclination, because it's a little more powerful in terms of the brain connection. It helps us kind of internalize and clarify our thoughts. By the way, I have a great tool called the Conversations That Matter Planner. So if you're interested, feel free to reach out and I'd be happy to send it to you, okay? You can email me or message me. Now, also before, when you're doing this planning, is remember that the people you have in mind that you need to communicate with, they're humans too, okay? Because it's easy when we're feeling frustrated or ignored or deferred, that it's easy to get sort of into that judger mode and sort of assume that there are, intentions that aren't necessarily honorable. Almost everybody, like literally 99% of us, get up in the morning with the best of intentions and meaning to go out and just do our best. So let's assume that that's the case here. Another thing you can do too in this preparation phase, which is really important, is if it's feels like a higher stakes conversation and it's getting into how you're feeling about a situation and that you're needing something from them and you really need them to listen, you want to be heard, then email ahead too. You can email and say, hey, at our next meeting, I'm hoping we can meet up in person or have a virtual coffee. And I really want to avoid rescheduling if we can, because there's something very important that I'd like to be able to talk with you about, and I need your support and your full attention. Nothing bad, nothing earth-shattering, not the end of the world, and I'm really looking for your help. During the meeting, so remember me and my doctor, having that list of your intentions, your messages, your questions, have the date, the visual of it. Okay, I'm holding it up here, sends a message to the person you're talking to that you've got some important things, that you do have an agenda, that you are trying to make sure that you don't miss getting all your questions answered, that you don't miss, articulating what you think is important to get across. So right there, it kind of signals, this is important. Can you lean in and meet me halfway? It's subtle, it's unconscious, and it's there, okay? So have your list. And remember that it helps you and it helps them, just like my 17-year-old self and my doctor, okay? Here's the thing. Often with clients I see, if they get a response to something, so they've gotten brave enough to sort of ask for information or say how they're feeling about something, go beyond face value. Don't just take the first response as is, because do a check-in with yourself. Am I clearer? Do I still have what I need? And if not, give yourself a moment. Take a sip of water, do what you've got to do just to, nope, I have a follow-on question coming, okay? And say it, right? So don't just take the first thing. People aren't trying to be opaque or make things hard for you, but sometimes they do, because they're not reading our minds exactly around what we need. So Ask the follow-on questions, right? Follow the trail so that you can get your stuff written down, get your full answers, right? And feel clear. Okay, so after, again, what I see with people day in, day out, and this used to be me as well, is people will email. They email to death, okay? Sending an email, I remember somebody saying to me, I don't know where I got this, but it's so true. It's kind of like somebody just threw a ball onto your desk, and now it's your ball. It's their sense of urgency and importance. And you don't, I don't know, you don't really want that because you've got your own set of urgent and important items. So email can really feel urgent when it's not, right? So the other thing is that when you volley that email or that ball onto somebody, it's easy for them just to passively ignore it. Oh, I didn't get to it. I'm so busy. I've got a really busy inbox. Or to just volley back, oh, I don't have that information yet. But when we actually pick up the phone or request an in-person meeting, whether it's on Teams or Zoom or actually in person, it goes a lot further to underscoring the importance of the conversation, right? Because often when we're looking for information, we're not just looking for the information. We're looking for reassurance. We're looking for connection. We're looking for trust building with somebody. It goes beyond the actual nuts and bolts of the conversation. So have that conversation, and then afterwards, instead of sending the email at the beginning with all of the detail and then, being disappointed if you don't get everything back, after you can put everything in writing. Hey, I just want to confirm my understanding of our conversation and where we landed, and the dates for follow-up that we've both committed to, as the case may be, right? So you can certainly put a bow on it that way. I would challenge you to not necessarily start with that, right? Everybody's busy. We've all got too many emails. Let's be human style here and have an actual conversation. That will start getting rid of that communication void. So there you have it. My little tips for getting the information you need when you feel like you're stuck on a dock somewhere with no boat. All right. Thanks so much for listening. Have a great rest of the day. Thank you for listening, my friends. If you found value in today's episode, please consider sharing it with a colleague or two. Perhaps even leave me a 5-star review so others can find the show. Wondering how we might partner together? Book a chat with me. The link is in the show notes. Until next time, keep leading human style.